Alrighty guys, how you going? I hope you've been well. Welcome back to American Reacts, and we're looking at the most amazing Australian inventions today. We're going to be looking at a short video on it because I've seen a lot of random videos on this, but I'm going to do my own research. So we're going to watch this short video, see what they say, and of course check out the description box for Cano Koala. That's where this video came from. It will be linked in the description box down below. Do our own deep dive into it and see if we can't find more interesting inventions from Australia. So here we go. Ooh, look at this. So unrelated, but kind of cool. It says Australia is large in size, although it has a relatively small population for the size. And look at all these countries compared to Australia. Japan is actually kind of big, but looks small. So does the UK and Ireland. Look at the whole continent of Europe. All those countries fit inside of Australia. Pretty interesting. Australia obviously way bigger than New Zealand. Southeast Asia is big, but Australia definitely can stack up against a lot of them. And look at this. The United States of America and Australia are very, very similar in size. I can't even tell from this one who's bigger. It's got to be real close. I guess just on pure width, United States is really wide. If we go to the tip of Washington here and the very tip of the Northeast, which would be Maine, man, it is very similar to think that they are both about the same size, although the United States has like 330 million people, so wow. And only 24 million around there in Australia. Okay, this is a countdown of 10, supposedly. Google Maps, okay. No kidding, wow. Google Maps, I think we've all used that in this modern age quite a bit. So thank you, Australia. Yeah, polymer banknotes. This should be on there for sure. These are amazing. I wish the U.S. Would try this out, you know? It says plastic banknotes were developed in a combined effort by Reserve Bank of Australia and CSIRO in the 1980s. Traditionally, banknotes are made from paper, cloth fibers, or a combination of both. For example, linen and cotton are in the American dollar. And of course, the Aussie notes are more environmentally friendly. I think they're easier to produce. And of course, they last longer. More durable as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Aussie money. Oh, the inflatable escape slide. That's mandatory on all airlines across the world. Thank you, Australia, again. Very interesting, right? What? Oh, like a baby car seat. No kidding. Wow. A lot of excellent safety stuff in Australia. That's good. Race cam, yes. I have had many people tell me this in the comments of my many reactions to Australian motorsport. 1979, that's very early, by the way. Very impressive. So yeah, check those out if you haven't. They're on my channel. Great comments on those. I learn a lot from my viewers. Wow, okay. Very interesting. So, great medical breakthroughs, safety breakthroughs. The black box. Ooh, is that from Australia as well? No kidding. Way back in the 50s, the idea was coined. Wow. I would not have guessed that. That's impressive. That's crazy, huh? Penicillin, wow. Again, A lot of medical, a lot of safety. We can thank Australia. Electric drill in 1889. What? That's insane. That's pretty cool. I think we all use those. I swear by my drill. Use it for a lot of things. Wi-Fi, yeah. Wi-Fi runs the world now, doesn't it? Everyone needs some Wi-Fi. I mean, it's how I make a living here is Wi-Fi, you know. So thank you, Australia, for Wi-Fi. I have heard that before. I have heard the funny jokes about how Australia literally invented Wi-Fi, but has some of the worst speeds, right? But I heard it's getting a lot better as of late. And how crazy is it that they get royalties every year for that? Not a bad gig, right? But that was only 10. I feel like there's been plenty more. So let's get a rundown here. So this brings us to the biggest list I can find, of course, to good old Wikipedia. So we're going to skim through these. I'm not going to read them all. Don't want to make an hour-long video here. But I want to highlight some really cool ones because Australia is a fascinating country, and luckily they have had some very smart blokes and gals who have invented, or should I say blokes and Sheilas, who have invented things that have helped shape our world. So thank you, Australia, for being so awesome and so smart. Let's look. Now, this is interesting right away. We have Australian inventions include a number of weapons or weapon systems, including the Woomera, the tank, and the underwater torpedo. So how about that? Never knew that. Of course, we have a lot of medical inventions, including ultrasound, the bionic ear, wow, the first plastic spectacle lenses, the electronic pacemaker, the multifocal contact lens, wow, I wear contacts sometimes, spray-on artificial skin, the anti-flu medication, wow. Of course, they invented Vegemite, yes. I love me some Vegemite. I'm a rare breed here in America. Apparently, a lot of Americans don't like Vegemite. I don't know why. Didgeridoo. We did a video on this. These are super cool. Of course, those are a invention of Indigenous Australians. It's a beautiful wind instrument with a really cool sound. Now, get a load of this. 1856, the refrigerator. Wow. James Harrison produced the first practical ice-making machine and refrigerator in Australia. How cool is that? Of course, 1858, we have the AFL, Australian Rules Football. Have become well aware of that after doing some videos on it. Very cool, very interesting game for a outsider. And yes, that is very old for a sport, 1858. So very impressive there as well. Underwater torpedo was way back in 1874. I would have never, ever guessed that long ago. That's a long time ago. How in the world did they manage that? And even something very useful but very simple, mechanical clippers. They invented those in 1877. Of course, that electric drill came in 1889. I think that is really early. I'm very impressed by that. Kind of blown away, actually. And how funny is this? A notepad. Yes, a notepad. Right there, you see the picture. Had to be invented at some point, right? You got it. Australia, 1902. Of course, froth flotation and basically and a lot of things related to mining. Were invented there because Australia had a very strong mining history for a while, which I have a lot to learn about. I'm not an expert on, but from what I understand, they had some of the biggest minerals and especially gold rushes in history, I believe. So I imagine they had to invent a lot of stuff to become so successful like they did in that arena. A lot of things related to mining, like this Dethridge wheel, basically used to measure the water flow in an irrigation channel. So yeah, a lot of nice industrial inventions came in the early 20th century, thanks to Australia. And then, of course, 1912, they did indeed invent the tank. South Australian Lance de Mol submitted a proposal to the British War Office for a chain rail vehicle which could be easily steered and carry heavy loads over rough ground and trenches. That's awesome. Originally, the British War Office rejected the idea at the time, but he made several more proposals. So he was a good, smart guy. He persevered, and did not give up. He was persistent about his invention of the tank, and it looks like it finally paid off. First, the electronic pacemaker was also invented in Australia. This was in 1928. In 1934, the first ute utility coupe, or should I say coupe utility. The car body style known colloquially as the ute in Australia and New Zealand combines a two-door coupe cabin with an integral cargo bed behind the cabin, and thus the ute was born. It was designed by Louis Bant at the Ford Motor Company in Geelong, Victoria, and rolled off the line in 1934. How cool is that? So I've heard of a fork, spoon, and a knife. I've also heard of a spork, which is a spoon and fork, but a splade. Did you know that was invented in Australia in 1943? And that's the combination of a knife, fork, and spoon, invented by William MacArthur after seeing ladies struggle to eat at barbecues with standard cutlery from plates on their laps. Well, there you go. An all-in-one that I have never had the pleasure of using in my life was invented almost 100 years ago in Australia. So there you have it. And then moving on, remember, we're not going to read all these, so just, get it in your head that they've invented a lot of good things. I'm only covering a few. This is post World War II, so still in the 20th century. We have impressive inventions in the 50s, like a solar hot water and distance measuring equipment. And then moving on to really impactful ones that we still use today. 1958, of course, the black box flight recorder. I'm very impressed by that, and that seems like so long ago. But there it is. I never knew it was that old. Of course, the ultrasound in the medical field, that's 1961. Wow, again, very early on. David Robinson and George Kossoff work at the Australian Department of Health resulted in the first commercially practical water path ultrasonic scanner in 1961. Very impressive. Of course, that inflatable escape slide that comes off the side of the airplanes, that's 1965, invented by Jack Grant of Qantas. Again, very impressive, very early on. A self-sharpening knife called a Stay Sharp knife was invented in Australia as well in 1970. Wow, and the orbital engine was invented in 1972 in Australia. And if you didn't know, that is a internal combustion process engine. It uses a single piston to directly inject fuel into 5 orbiting chambers. It has never challenged the dominance of 4-stroke combustion engines, but has replaced many 2-stroke engines with a more efficient, powerful, and cleaner system. Orbital engines now appear in boats, motorcycles, and small cars. So, wow, very interesting invention there. Of course, the race cam, 1979. We all enjoy that on television today, watching NASCAR and V8 supercars, touring cars, F1, whatever have you. That's a long time ago, 1979. And, of course, invented in Australia. The dual flush toilet, something that I do have known nothing about being an American, but that was invented back in 1980. So, again, fascinating. It's just fascinating in general because I don't have any experience with those. The multifocal contact lens, 1992. Hey, that's the year I was born. Wi-Fi, 1992 as well, according to this. Ooh, and the Fraser lens. I used to be a photographer on the side as a hobby. The Fraser lens is a special camera lens designed by Australian photographer Jim Fraser. The Fraser lens provides a massive depth of field, allowing the foreground and background of an image to be in focus. Fraser's lenses have been widely used in Hollywood and wildlife cinematography. So now this is cool. 2002 scramjet. On July 30th, 2002, the University of Queensland's high shot team and their international partners conducted the first ever successful test flight of a scramjet. This test was conducted at a rocket range in the outback South Australia called Woomera. Very, very cool. More medical breakthroughs like blood tests to prevent stillbirth. Quantum logic gate. Yeah, that is a lot of awesome stuff. And I'm sure there's even more that aren't on here. This is just a decent list to get the idea. Wow, very fascinated, guys. Australia, good on you. You're a good country. You have a lot of interesting parts of your culture, wonderful geography and geology, wonderful people, as I have learned. But of course, you also have had some very, very smart people that have literally changed the world with their inventions. So how cool is that? I hope you learned something today. Let's talk in the comments. What inventions of these are you really moved by? Do you use a lot and maybe you didn't know that were invented in Australia. Give me a thumbs up if you learned something new today. I know I did. Subscribe for more stuff like this. And of course, check out the description box for Cano Koala. That's where this video came from. It will be linked in the description box down below. Also, check out ways you can support the channel, tip jar, P.O. box, and of course the Discord is linked in there as well. And with that being said, my name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, I'll catch you later.